but it was, yo, this ain't Minecraft and Lego. It's fucking Friday the god 13th and fucking Lego. Hey everybody, welcome to Twisted Talks, the podcast where we talk all things horror, sci-fi, and fantasy Brickfilm. Today I interviewed Rob Giles of RODZLAND. Rob Giles is a Brickfilmer with a very distinct style of filmmaking who specializes in horror and sci-fi shorts with a very cinematic feel. His most viewed Brickfilm is Lego Minecraft The Hero Slayer: The Beginning. I actually have to confess, I did forget to press record for the first 10 minutes of this podcast, so I missed a little bit about us talking about our inspirations for what drew us into stop motion originally, and kind of specifically what drew us into the kind of horror subgenre of stop motion. So we did catch the bulk of our talk though once I remembered to push the button, and we had a lot of fun. I think you're going to like this one. So without further ado, here's Rob. Well, I'm curious too, with your, distinct style of filmmaking, do you have a process that you usually go by where you're, when you're creating a new short, do you write a script? Do you do a storyboard? Or what does that kind of look like from start to finish?
I do none of that. I don't write a script. I do no storyboard. It's all in my head. I do none of that. I do none of that stuff. I probably should, but no, I don't. I have an idea, and I kind of will start with that, and usually I start animating, and the idea I had goes out the window, and the animation goes on its own path. That's kind of what happens.
Yeah, it's a very.
I have an idea of where I want it to go, but I have an idea of what I'm about to even do. But sometimes it just goes its own way.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's obviously they unfold very organically then, and I'm sure. Sometimes so I assume you don't always know how it's going to end. That kind of happens.
I've got an idea of how it's going to end, and how I kind of want things to go, but it usually turns out rather differently.
Yeah,
definitely.
I suppose so. So, obviously you do have your distinct. I noticed one thing that's interesting is for years you've been using the 16:9 aspect ratio. What kind of inspired you to do that? Because so many people, they start with just whatever the aspect ratio of the camera is at, but you kind of went with that cinematic choice right away, or very early on.
I did. I'm not too sure really. I tried it one time and I thought, man, it just looks so different. It looks so different when you do that to your footage and you crop it a bit. To be honest, whenever I saw anything like that as a kid, I hated it. I wouldn't watch anything like that. But now I do it to every video. It's kind of just my habit now doing it.
Yeah.
I just prefer the way it looks. It kind of gives it, cinematic feel to it.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe, there are a few brick films that I started to see where I was like, there's something about this that just makes it feel more like a motion picture or a movie. And I noticed that often it's because they're in the 16:9 aspect ratio. And it's like, I feel like it primes the viewer to be like, this is going to be a movie, or this is going to be a cinematic experience.
I think you're probably right there. It definitely just something draws the eye. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
you're right about that.
So on that note, I'm curious about the equipment you use. What kind of camera and software do you use, and how long have you been? I'm curious what that progression looked like too, because I started off using just this crappy old camera, and it was iMovie, and I would literally just put each picture in there as a picture and set it to the shortest possible length of point whatever, 0.18 seconds or whatever I could do. And that was super primitive, but what was your equipment evolution?
The first camera I got, it was a GoPro. One of the first GoPros, and really I was going out and I was filming stuff with my mates. I was just filming things, all sorts of things. And then with that I then realized, hang on, I could probably try a bit of stop motion with this. So that's the first camera I tried, was with a GoPro, and not the best camera to use for stop motion, definitely.
Yeah.
at all. But yeah, that's how I started, and kind of a bit like you, I didn't have any software to load it into. I can't even remember what the thing I was using. Maybe it's Monkey Frame, I think. You load the photos into that. And then from there, I thought, I'm enjoying doing this. I think I'll just get a camera just for this. And I got it was like a Canon 400 or something like that. And I was then watching videos on YouTube, and there was people stuck out to me like Brotherhood Workshop.
Oh yeah.
Just the quality of his videos, and I thought, right, what's this guy using? See what he's using. And I kind of thought, right, so he's using a digital SLR camera. He's using Dragonframe, so that's what I got. I went for Dragonframe. It's expensive, but it's the best one, I would have thought.
Yeah.
And I now use a Canon 500D.
Okay, I got you. That's interesting. I remember myself, when I bought Dragonframe, I was just, still had lots of student debt and just barely had a job. And, I was like, I don't know if I can swing $200-300 just to animate, okay. But it was like, it is the standard, just it's so effective and you're going to use it forever. So thankfully it's a one-time payment and not some kind of subscription service. But it's incredible when you start that transition from, I remember I used to take pictures and you have to push the button on the camera every time. And it's like, it just looks like absolute garbage. And then,
here and there.
Yep. And then trying to see, well, I want to see a preview of how that looked like. Again, I would have to turn on the preview mode of the camera and just kind of push as softly as I could to see, okay, yeah, it looks pretty smooth. And it's just, it's like, like the caveman equivalent of stop motion. But once you get Dragonframe, we're in the space age, it's just
definitely. Just the options you've got with it, all the onion skinning and the playback, it's brilliant.
Yeah, one feature, I'm curious if you've used this, every now and then when I'm animating, I'll still bump the table a little bit, or bump the set. I'll just oh God. But then if you switch it to turn on the onion skinning and switch on the difference mode, have you used that?
No, I don't think so.
What it does is I might show a little preview of this in the side of our whole interview so viewers can see, but it takes the current frame and it turns everything into colors of super high contrast, black and white, basically. So the difference between frames is just, it's either black or white. So it's this super sharp contrast. So I've been able to I accidentally bump the set and you think it's game over, but using that, I can actually move the set back almost precisely into the place it was, and you can't even tell. So yeah,
I did not know that. That's going to come in very handy because I am continuously bumping my camera. And I'm trying to get it back into position just with the onion skinning, but I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know I had that feature.
Yeah. Oh, it's that's the thing too. It's such a deep program that, even I've only scratched the surface of what it's capable of.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
But that's the way it is with all editing programs. I also use HitFilm Express and DaVinci Resolve, and when it really comes down to it, I'm still a beginner. There's so much with that modern, even free modern editing programs enable you to do. I'm curious, what do you use? Any special effects programs? What do you use for that?
The editing program I use is all in one. The effects and everything's all in the one program. It's the program I use for editing the videos. It's the old program. It's called Video Pads. But like you say, I've been using it for so long. I know pretty much everything about it. So I find it very easy to use.
Yeah.
I tried upgrading to a new version of the same thing, and it was totally different. I just had to go back to the old version. So I'm on this really old version, and I can do all my effects and stuff on there, but I don't have full control of everything.
Yeah.
I can do majority of things, but I would like to get something better, really.
Yeah. It's an interesting trade-off. I think there are some programs that you might be better off if you learned a more flexible program or something with more advanced features. But at the same time, some of those, maybe you could say simpler programs, if you get so familiar with them, know them in and out, you can achieve, you learn how to achieve certain visual effects through like back alleys, so to speak, or just using, a combination of maybe unconventional techniques.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. That happens a lot.
Yeah. That's the beauty of like living in the age we live in. We have this incredible access to these tools that, people, 20 years ago, you'd have to be just in the studio or, part of a multi-billion-dollar movie company to even dream of using. But here we are.
Yeah, access to some of that space, especially like Dragonframe. Yeah, anything like that, really.
Yeah, it's incredibly handy to have.
You get Film Express then for editing?
Yeah. Does that are you familiar?
I literally tried it a little bit, but I straight away I gave up. But I see that quite a few people are using that now.
Yeah, I was looking for something a little bit more flexible than what I had. Let's see before I was pretty much using iMovie and that was it. And that's very inflexible. Oh no, there was one before that. There was another one called, what was it called? Effects Lab Pro, I think it was what it was called. And I don't think it even exists anymore. But that's what I used for my gun muzzle flares and all that stuff and blood effects. But yeah, now I use HitFilm Express, and I feel like they're like, they're free, but they have a lot of paid on packages, and you can get the pro version. And I feel like they're a pretty small team, but the editing program is extremely effective, and it's they're continuously adding on to it, and they come out with tons of tutorials. So it took some time because there was a big learning curve for me with layer-based editing, because they do quite a bit of
maybe threw me a little.
Yeah, it's and I was like, I don't get this. Like there's all this different like grade layer and a point layer, and what is all this? And it took a lot of time actually, but I'm finally starting, I'm getting the hang of it. I'm starting to get the sense. For the longest time, I had the hardest time just making somebody like throw a ball where you mask out like the supports or whatever. And it's such a simple thing, but when you're working with a new program, learning to do the simplest thing can be just a pain in the butt. But yeah, I
don't have any way of painting anything out like that. Done nothing like that at all.
I'm surprised that Dragonframe doesn't have that feature. At least doesn't. Maybe it does, and neither of us have figured it out. It could be, but that seems like something you just like put one frame over another and then just paint out part of it you want. But
that would be a great idea if they could do that in there. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I should have worked for them. All right. There was a few of your videos that I wanted to bring up just because I enjoyed them so much. I mean, I really took the RODZLAND tour this last couple of days, and one was the ring in 10 seconds. I thought that was brilliant and pretty spooky, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, you a big fan of those movies?
I was when they came out. Yeah, that again was for a competition.
Really?
Yeah, that was the Action Brick.
Oh.
He did a competition, a 10-second horror animation competition. Nice. That's why it's only 10 seconds long.
Gotcha.
But really, actually quite hard to do a 10-second animation, but kind of made any kind of sense.
Yeah, especially a movie like The Ring. It's like, that's quite a plot to condense in 10 seconds.
Definitely.
But yeah, it was very, very well done. And again, you had it. That one, another one that stuck out to me that kind of reminds me of the style was, it was the Star Wars vision, like that with Ren and Kylo Ren and Rey. And there's this intense, like confusing kind of flashing and these crazy edits and cutting. And I feel like that was, it's cool because it's creative and kind of like this courageous filmmaking where you're like, it's going to be kind of intense here. It's going to be kind of like a fever dream, but it achieves the effect it's going for, I would say.
I'm glad that came across. That was definitely the way I was going for there.
Yeah.
That was a while ago I made that. Yeah, I forgot really about that.
Yeah, I see. It looked like you've been brick filming pretty consistently for 6 or 7 years on YouTube now. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think that's about right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I actually I was gonna ask, uh you've been around a bit longer than I have. Were you in the brick filming scene in its early days, like brickfilms.com, and like those really old, not so much?
Not at all, man. Not at all. No, no.
Okay.
I really must have started. Probably when you see my first sort of things on YouTube is really when I started messing about with stop motion.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I uh I kind of I think I could have been more in that than I was. I never didn't really get into the brick filming community myself early on. I was more in the mock making community on there's like a website called Flickr. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Flickr?
No, no.
Okay, that's just a photo sharing website, but there was a Lego community on there. It was pretty tight knit, but just people who were like skilled at making Lego sets, and that,
Okay, yeah.
that I spent a lot of time on there. But just curious because there is a, I don't know if I'd call it a rich history, but there's a quite a bit of, I guess, history between brick filmers who remember the classic days. And I
Yep.
was just curious. But yeah, you like
I
me,
was,
you're a bit of a newcomer.
yep, yep. Right, so old newcomer.
Yeah. Well, let's see. A couple of other videos that I wanted to talk about of yours was, oh, 10 ways to kill a zombie. I just had to point out the chainsaw. Again, this is you're
Yes.
like the freaking king of gore. It just like guts spilling out from his tummy. And I was like, that's a
That's what I was trying to do, man. Yeah, I wanted the
yeah.
guts coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the movie? I mean, so many zombie movies, of course, just one up each other in that department. But Dead Snow. Have you seen that one?
No, no, never even heard of
Oh,
it.
you're missing out, man. It's actually so it's a Norwegian movie. I think the first one is in Norwegian, but you can get it, English subtitles, probably dubbed. The second, that there's a sequel that's entirely in English, but you should look up Dead Snow because
I'll have a look at this.
it's definitely dark humor, but the gore is just out of control. But it's literally, to elevator pitch for you, a bunch of teenagers go like skiing or snowboarding or whatever on this forbidden mountain, and a bunch of Nazi zombies are awoken, and it's just
Sounds
brutal.
up my street, man.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. Uh, Another one was The Execution, and this one really. I don't. Do you remember? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Medieval one, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that one really stuck out to me because it's this. You don't do a lot of voice acting or voice parts. It's kind of a silent film feel, but this one was incredibly. I thought incredible work in visual storytelling. Um, and without, I guess, spoiling too much, this knight is gonna get executed, and you know you're not sure what's going to happen, obviously, as you're watching it. You're like, is he
yeah.
going to escape, is he not? And then he has this vision of his love, basically, as the axeman is preparing. And then I don't know, I want to talk about it, but don't want to spoil it too much. But I'll post a link in the description because I thought the way you ended that was so creative and in some ways open-ended, where it's like it didn't just shove the answer in the viewer's face, but there were all
Yeah.
these kind of implications you could draw, like, wait, what's the relationship between this guy and this guy, and what was he
Yeah.
supposed to do something there?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm glad you're saying that. That's what I was going for with that. Yeah.
So many brick films are just look at this cool thing that's happening, but that one was actually like there's some depth here that's hidden under the surface. So do you do any other like storytelling, whether it's like writing or anything like that, or just
None at all, man. No, none at all.
I gotcha. Brick filming is the medium.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't really do much voices. I don't know why. If I don't really want to record my voice myself, but
Yeah.
if I had actors to do it, then I probably would. Yeah, I'd use voices, but
Yeah. So you don't have any.
sometimes that holds my stories back, I guess. I've got the ideas of what I'm gonna do, but maybe I put up a lot of subtitles. But with animation, that can be a bit. You can just draw your eye down to the subtitles and you really miss what's going on.
Yeah.
Plus, it's hard to get a lot of information in a subtitle when the clip isn't so long.
Yeah.
where you can have someone say something and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, and obviously you've leaned, I don't want to say your weakness, but in some ways you've turned your weakness into a strength, because obviously you're able to lean into visual storytelling, which is really what animation of all sorts is all about,
Yes.
And film in general. It's especially again with the execution, I feel like that was done so well, where it's like you show everything, very little dialogue.
Yeah.
So you don't have any like friends or family who would be who are big actors?
No. I think the only video maybe I did with it had any voice acting was Batman versus Superman.
Oh yeah.
Superman was a guy I used to work with, and I did Batman. And,
nice.
But apart from that, no, not really. I've got my son; he won't be up for doing it. No.
Yeah, I've had my I've had all sorts of friends and family voice act. Some are better than others, admittedly. My voice is complete garbage, so that was something I've completely designated out. I do the voice for like the robot Kevin in my series, and that's about it. Because I'm like, if I can't do a robot, what am I? But I was very excited recently, for the first time ever for the Void War. I actually held auditions with a couple of my friends, and most of those parts, and that was, that's I think kind of a weird step to take as a brick filmer, because it's like, who's going to take this stuff seriously enough to, but there are, local theater groups, younger actors who just want experience and projects, people are down.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun.
How does that go in the Void War? I see the little clips looking really good. Really good.
It's so exciting. It's interesting because I've just had to change. It's not something that I can be like, okay, my goal for this month is to create this finished product, and by the end of the month it'll be ready to go and I'll upload it. It's this absurd marathon where every day I'm like, well, back to the dungeon, and I animate, get 3 seconds of footage, and then all right, well, that's pretty good. I'll try to edit some of that this evening. And I love it. I really do. And I'm so excited about it. I think about it all the time, and it's a weird experience to try to hop into this endeavor. And there's so many stages to it. Obviously the auditioning, the voice acting, the recording the voice actors, that took weeks. And all the while I'm trying to make a living working a day job. But it's exciting, and it's like, would I do it even if I make no money off it? Yeah, probably, because it's just, well, why do we tell stories? Because we feel, I guess I can't speak for you, but I feel like there's an innate urge that storytellers have to tell a story and express themselves. And for people like us, brick filming is the perfect medium for that.
Definitely. What's the bit you enjoy most about it? Animating or editing? What?
So as far as process goes, it's a good question. Maybe I feel like it used to be editing, but more and more it's becoming animating. And I think a big part of that was just becoming more familiar with the principles of animation, and I guess respecting the art form that it is, that there is a craft to it. It's not just, there are parts of it that are monotonous and almost more like a day job sometimes. Like whenever I have to animate a walk cycle, it's not the most fun thing. But there's just the beauty of like just putting aside an hour or two, and then you see these characters coming to life. I think that is really at the core of what makes it so special, is you are breathing life into these figures. And I think it taps into like that. I know as a kid, I definitely believed my Legos, or I chose to believe that my Legos came to life when I wasn't looking. And so now I'm kind of breathing them into life while I'm allowed to watch.
Yeah, now I get to see
it. Yeah. Whether they like it or not. Do you have a favorite part of the process?
I love editing now. I think that's a big reason of some of what I do. I just enjoy editing videos. Big time. Sometimes the animating can be, although I do it as a hobby, like something to relax, it can be tedious. Especially when you've got an idea of a shot you want to do, and sometimes you just can't pull it off. Sometimes you might animate something and you look and you think, no, this just doesn't look. Something just doesn't quite look right. Or sometimes now I'm going, I'll record a load of stuff and I'll just think, no, I'll start again.
It's a tough choice though, to be like, definitely. Do I accept this subpar animation? Can I fix it in post, or do I do the whole thing again? That can be a tough choice. But sometimes
a lot of it can be where you've knocked the camera and you just think, yeah, it's time to start again, or change the shot, change the angle.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. it's the classic Brickfilmer move. You know, you bump the camera. Oh, cut to a new shot.
Definitely
new angle.
Definitely. Not for too good then when the shot you've got is a bit too short. Kind of.
Yeah. Well. It's funny because I used to dread doing motion shots because it's like, oh, I have to make sure the camera is moving in the right way. And that seems just complicated because I got to think about the camera movement. But I've kind of changed my tune on that, because if the camera is intentionally moving in a shot, you know, whether it's panning left to right or, you know, going on an arc, whatever it might be, there is room for error. So if you shake things up, if you actually bump something, you're much less likely to notice because there's a natural motion already there, instead of it having to be perfectly still.
Yeah, I've literally just started trying a lot of camera movements and stuff now, and that's exactly right. You hide a lot with a bit of camera movement. With the camera movement, a little mistake is you don't quite pick up on it. Whereas if the camera is dead still, that little movement, especially something in the background, that's something big for me. That something in the background moves, and it catches my eye, and I think, no, I can't.
It's annoying. Are you familiar with the Bricks in Motion group? There's a whole Discord group there, and they have a podcast, World of Brick Films. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
They recently started coming out with a tutorial series, and it's a lot of fun. Nathan Wells is the one who's kind of narrating them, and he's been a long time brick filmer. But I was watching the first video, and he was talking about how you want a hard surface to animate on and a table that doesn't wobble or anything. And I just had to laugh because I've been apartment hopping. I've got a fiance who's in school at the moment, so we kind of moved around, and I've had to be kind of flexible with that. But right now we're in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm animating this completely carpeted room, like pretty thick carpet, and the table is utter garbage, and it's like a coffee table too, so it's on these like risers, so there's so much room for error. It is, and so I have to be just like so conscientious if like and like sometimes she will like knock on the door or open the door, and I'll just have to be like, don't come in here, because if there's any seismic activity, we're in big trouble.
Exactly the same here. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
I've got a big table, but I have it it's totally covered. But I end up working in this tiny little space, and like the same carpets, and like the floorboard might move. If someone walks in the room, I'm like, say no, stop. I'm dealing with all that as well.
Yeah, that's the life. But also the beauty of brick filming, you know, I've said this before, that the reason that I think it works so well for as a hobby, I guess, you can tell a story and it can be of almost any size or scope, and you can tell the whole thing from the safety of your coffee table, like, you know, and with such limited resources in the grand scheme of things. And that's why it's so effective, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right. I wanted to, maybe we can move on to discussing our brick film picks here pretty shortly, but I did want to, a couple more of yours. Stone Age of the Hunt. Oh, the visual filmmaking with your Lego Pirates film, where they go to this island and they of course dig up the treasure, but then they turn into skeletons. That was not to spoil it, everyone should still watch it, but the like almost the post-credit scene, or like what the credits, I guess it would be, where you're kind of showing how this has happened throughout history. I don't know, again, I thought that was just like such a cool touch to add.
Thank you, man. Some of them ideas are literally I've been animating that whole thing, and it was like right at the end I thought, man, I could show like different, like few stages through time where this has happened over and over and over. Yeah, man.
Well, and I think it was one of those effective methods of adding this kind of depth to what's otherwise a very short story, where it's not just this one curse that these handful of pirates got cursed on this island. It's this cursed island or cursed treasure that it's untouchable, like, and it can't be discovered because the people whenever they discover it, you turn into a skeleton, you die. And so it's almost like a kind of a profound horror behind this kind of silly film. But I thought that was kind of a fun touch. Also, I have to say, so I watched Lego Minecraft: The Hero Slayer, which is, that was one of your older ones. But there was a lot of elements I really liked about it, like the river you had flowing. It was literally just like a translucent blue base plate. But I haven't really seen too many people do that, but I thought it worked very well. And you kept it pretty true to the video game itself with the sound effects and how he's navigating the cave, having to, use his pickaxe to dig down. But one of the funniest, this made me laugh out loud, was the top comment on that video. I'm gonna bleep this out in advance. But it was, "Yo, this ain't Minecraft and Lego. It's fucking Friday the god 13th and fucking Lego." I was like, how many like 12, 13-year-olds like clicked on, "Oh, Minecraft Lego," and then we're just traumatized.
I did think that, man. I did think that. Especially with Minecraft.
Yeah.
Very big game for kids and that, but it got pretty gory.
Yeah, but that's, I think that's in a weird way very inspirational. I remember one of the first brick films that I can remember actually watching and having an impact on me. It was one of those fight ones where it's just like kind of, I think in that era that was really inspired by The Matrix, where it's just one guy who's like running through these halls and killing all these like bad guys with random weapons like spears and axes, and he's just taking them all out. But it was crazy gory, and he used like red clay, which is probably why I still use red clay. It's just like, it just stuck with me. It's like, I love that look. But it was like taking this childhood toy and making it into an adult kind of thing, and I was like, that is so cool. So there's something to be said about that.
I wondered how many kids were traumatized by that one.
Yeah. Maybe a handful. Traumatized and perhaps inspired. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Last of your videos that I want to specifically highlight was the 50 ways to kill Darth Vader. And that was, again, a very old one, pretty dang silly, but there were a few scenes that, again, just made me laugh. The one where Darth Vader, because he used sound bits from the actual movies, and where Darth Vader says "impressive," and then a lightsaber goes through his face. So freaking funny. And then the other one was when he says to the red guards, he's like, "Don't fail me again," and then they beat the crap out of him. So funny.
Get a lot of comments asking for where's part two?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because that was 50 ways to kill Darth Vader, but it was only 1 through 25. So
it's coming, I guess.
Yeah. God, that was funny. All right, but I guess now would be a great time to talk about our brick film picks. Around the theme was the unknown, if I'm not mistaken. So let's talk about yours first. You picked Mr. Fuzzy Brick Lego's Squidman Origins Episode 2. So why did you choose that one?
When I didn't originally see the first episode, so this is the first episode I saw of this, and very first watch, I just thought it's the build. It looks grand, it looks big, and its shot selection brilliant. There's a few shots I just think were great. Shot from inside the fish's mouth. You see all his teeth. Great shot. And then there's another shot that stuck out to me was it's the sword. It kind of just floats down. It's like and it lands on the bottom. And but mainly the build on that one, where he comes out of the water and he's in a cave. It's brilliant.
Oh,
I want to know if it's real. Is that a real build? It looks it.
yeah. Yeah, and you can tell, sometimes in some brick films, it's like, okay, I see how like this person, they achieved a sense of size using some kind of trick or some kind of visual effect. But in videos like this, where it's like, no, he actually built this whole goddamn thing. And it's incredible. Have you did you watch part 1 yet?
Yes.
Okay. I love the build in that one too. Like this whole,
also great.
It's just the sense of this fortress, this like alien fantasy land fortress. And the voice acting was a lot of fun too. I didn't, just
brilliant voice acting. Like all the sound effects as well. Excellent.
Yeah.
No, the voice acting in particular, really good.
Especially there was like the Squidman is like their lead scientist or something, but then there's like so and so the mighty, and like I don't know, it's just so cartoony, but so charismatic too. I loved it.
Definitely, yeah, really well done.
Yeah, and with that one, the stud bubbles. I was trying to figure out how he did that, where it's like, do you have any?
I presume that's done as an effect afterwards, whether he's taken a photo of it. Yeah, it must be. It has to be.
It's got to be. And
can't see any other way he could have done it.
I was thinking maybe he took just like a picture of a single stud and then, cut it out or keyed it out or whatever, and then just like animated it going up. But there's the way it moves, it looked so hand moved. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess maybe he could have animated it against a green background or like on top looking down on some green paper and it just like moves up or something. But I thought that was just, animating anything underwater is like, why would you ever do that? Because that's like the hardest thing ever. But so I
really well. the way the fish swims and everything.
Yeah, and I was going to comment on that mouth shot too. It's like, that's so cool. And, not necessarily an easy shot to achieve. It takes, again, that's maybe some of the, where the real art and stop motion goes, is those artists who choose to do the shots that everybody else just decides not to do because it's too hard.
Yeah, definitely.
I have not touched water in any of my films. It's like, I don't even want to think about it. But, well, I guess at the end of, the Lego Zombie Apocalypse Season 2, Quest Undead, I do have them floating away technically on the boat. I don't know if you've seen that, but that was very easy, all things considered. I didn't have to animate water. But what do you call it? Do you play a lot of video games?
Used to, not anymore.
Do you play Skyrim?
No.
Oh, damn. I was gonna say the scene when Squidman comes out of the water and he's in that cave. First off, that was like easily my favorite shot in the whole film, because it's just the design of that cave was
brilliant,
immaculate.
Yeah, amazing. It's really well done.
And you have the little eyes of the creature in the corner and the little mushrooms. I mean, and it, to me, I was like, this is a perfect, it looked just like a cave in Skyrim. You go in and out of these caves throughout that whole game, and it looked just what it looks like when you leave a cave, where it's this kind of upwards ascent. And I don't know, I was just blown away by that. And this is maybe
particularly good build.
Oh, incredible. And animating walk cycles it sucks. But he did it where it's like you have, the plates offset, one plate up. So it's kind of the stairway effect. He managed to make the Squidman like run across that very smoothly. And I've tried doing that before, and it's not easy.
No, definitely not. No, I have trouble with normal walk cycles.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm still learning how to do walk cycles properly, because I think I get an idea of what will make it look good, where it's like, oh, he sways a little bit, that'll look good, and it's like, no, it just looks like he's completely unbalanced.
Mine is constantly changing it. Every video is different.
Yeah,
try and get one down and keep it as a certain thing. Yeah,
and it's really tough with the walk cycles, because you want to, we look at humans, we don't all walk the same, like we carry ourselves differently. And in theory, it'd be nice if you could translate that to brick films as well, but it's a very limited range of movement and of personality there.
Yes. person I saw doing some really good walk cycles, but then again, I think his is on clay, Lego on clay. Is his brother's workshop.
Oh yeah.
He's just people kind of got a different walk gait, and they look slightly different, but
Yeah.
very hard to do. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, that's yeah, Brotherhood he's on another level. Did you see his? I'm sure you saw his one where it's like take the wizard's staff, or the Lord of the Rings one.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
really, really good.
it's just perfect.
You had some great comedy in there as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's just so what they're taking all the weapons out. It's just so funny. All right. So yeah, definitely would recommend Squidman Origins to everybody watching. It's Mr. Fuzzy Brick. I don't know if he animated I don't think he animated them for the Lego group. He's just a fan builder, but he did a ton of Space Police ones. I was kind of scrolling through them, and that is so cool to me. I mean, very nostalgic. Those sets were so cool, and he really did them justice as far as brick filming goes, I think.
Yeah, he hasn't put anything out for a while. I think that Squidman episode 2 was the last thing he's put out for a little while.
And that was
hoping for episode 3.
Yeah, right. I want to see him get his revenge. I will have my revenge. Yeah. So I guess we can move on to the SCP, the refining machine, and that's by Forlorn Creature, I believe. And are you? Oh, he's crazy good. Have you seen all of his SCP animations?
Yes. Yeah. The janitor. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Which one was your favorite? I think he did 3. Yeah.
He did the janitor.
I think Here There Be Dragons was the other one.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh, that one is actually just, it's not even really scary necessarily. It's kind of touching. It's one because not all SCPs are necessarily terrifying. This one was kind of sweet in a sense, but the janitor was too freaking funny.
Really good. Yeah.
Fun take.
He did some great tutorials as well.
Yeah, I think I watched one of his where he showed how he achieved like the overhead lighting in the janitor, or just the set design of the janitor, and that was so incredible.
Yeah, really good.
But I couldn't believe, like, in the refining machine, it was again just one of those films where it's like, this film is artistically beautiful because you have this like fun classical music playing, and there's this playful atmosphere and this incredible lighting of the machine itself. You got all these gears spinning. It's very like aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And it's fun. You're like, oh, what's going to happen next? They put a basketball in and it comes out as this like supercharged rubber basketball. Yeah. And then they're putting all these different things in, and then the mood completely changes. And when he switches it to 1D input, 1D class human, and all of a sudden it takes on this sinister kind of feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you think about it?
I love that film, man. Yeah. Again, it's got like just that dark edge to it. You got like the whole montage bit going on. Mm-hmm. Again, every shot is kind of perfect.
It is.
It all leads up to something. You're leading on to something, and then like you said, the music's all happy and and then it changes.
Yeah,
but really good, really good.
It just
the lighting, perfect.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it really gets an A+ in pretty much every category. It just flows like butter, where it's like, it's so easy to watch.
Yeah. Really well done.
Yeah. And it's the kind of thing that's like, makes me want to see Forlorn Creature just do like an SCP video of literally every SCP. It's like, what would his take on this one be? And I think it's been a while since he last put something out, so I hope it's the end of that. But
he hasn't put anything out in a while, I don't think.
Yeah, it's tough because you can't really, it's there are very, very few who achieve making a living out of brick filming. I've got to say, like, there's got to be like 3 or 4 that come to mind, Forest Fire 101 being like one of them for sure. But so obviously people have lives and they got other stuff they got to do. But you do, like an interesting one is, are you familiar with Keshin?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's just such a master. And I don't know anything about the guy like himself, and it's kind of almost mysterious, but he like is just a master worker of animation. And it's like every a couple times a year he'll just put out a new like work of art, and
it goes crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like perfect. They're perfect.
Yeah, they're just flawless.
You see no mistakes, anything. Like, yeah, really good, really good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as for making money from it, very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, and there's some have tried and failed. Like I think about, well, I don't want to say failed, but they've tried and met roadblocks. I spoke to Montego Studios. They created the medieval brick film Bound. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, an incredible brick film. I mean, it's basically this movie, but he tried to release it on DVD, and the Lego Group basically came down on him. It was like, don't think so. And
really? I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he had to like pull the whole DVD thing. Couldn't do that, and just had to put it out there for free. It was explicitly told could not make money off it. And I think that's happened a few times. Some people, it seems like you either get shut down or you get hired. Depending on
workshop, he got hired.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I don't know, to be perfectly honest, I don't know what the heck I'm doing with the Void War. I'm trying to create something that's like, it's genuinely me. It's like an original idea, an original story. And as far as marketing it goes, we'll see what we're kind of testing the limits. I think we're going to see what is allowed and what isn't. And obviously, if the Lego Group comes after me and is like, hey, push pause here, you're overstepping with this or with that. Obviously, I would listen to them. I don't want to get in a legal dispute with them. But it's an interesting place to be, I'll say, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I hope it all goes well, man. I hope it all goes well.
Yeah, thanks, man. So I guess just a couple of last questions for you. One, actually, this is just a quick one. Your name is Rob, but your channel name is RODZLAND. I'm curious what the origin of that channel name is.
Nickname, my edit name I use, you might see it comes up. It's like, oh my god, it's Rod. OMGSROD. Just a nickname, Rod, and RODZLAND. I don't know why I even come up with that. I was just searching for something that was not used. That's how it came on that. Really, there's nothing but that.
Yeah. No, I think it works. I love the ending with the, oh my god, it's Rod, just popping up. I think it's a nice touch. And I think too is like, I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the whole RODZLAND really works because it's like when you're on your channel, you're in this world of like shorts and films, and they all kind of are connected in a way. And it is almost like a RODZLAND place of horror.
I like it, man. Yeah. I like it.
So do you have any ambitious or exciting future projects in the works, or are there any projects that you thought about doing for a long time but maybe haven't gotten around to them?
I've got so many ideas for things that I would like to do. Definitely loads, absolutely loads. It's like just finding the time to do them. Really, it takes so long. Like, as you know, stop motions takes forever.
It does.
I have so many different ideas. I generally will start animating a video, and I've got grand ideas for it. It's going to go this place and that place, and then I'll be halfway through it, or I'll be part of the way through it, and I'll get bored of it, and I'll think of another idea. I'll start animating that. Yeah. So I end up with a lot of videos that are kind of just floating around in a weird space. And sometimes a few that I've recently put out, I've gone, I'm not going to end up going back to this. So I've sometimes looked for a point where I could probably put that out as a bit of an animation. And I'd put them out and I'd cut some of it off the end, basically. But a lot of my videos have got grand ideas, and they just never get there.
Yeah, that's funny. You and I we're on different tracks, because like you have all these like ideas sprouting and flowering, and I'm like, I have to kill them all immediately because I have to stay on track with this movie, otherwise there's no hope. So
yeah, I don't think I would be able to do that. Like I've had a few ideas where I've thought, this would be a good story, and it would, even I could do different episodes or whatever, but I get a part of the way into it, and I want to animate something different.
Yeah. Well, it's working. You got your own thing going, and I would like to request a Lego Stone Age Part 2. I want to see whether the big old humans can take on those horrifying man-eating goblins.
Yeah, I've got some ideas for that one already. Yeah,
that would be cool.
I'm glad you like that one, man.
Of course, man. That was, I don't know. It's just, you don't see a lot of Stone Age brick films, and you see
not many at all.
You see pretty much zero like fantasy Stone Age like brick films, where I don't even know, it's just not a genre you see. So it was a breath of fresh air. Fresh gory air.
Yeah, it's fun to animate that one, actually.
Yeah. That was another one. Again, you were very clever, because it's like, is he at first you're like, is he hunting this dog pig thing, or like, is it hunting him, or what's going on? And you realize that thing is just like the bloodhound of these much scarier creatures. So
man, yeah, that's the idea. That was what I was trying to get put across. I wanted to look like he was he was kind of hunting that dog at the beginning.
Yeah, so. Well, that's what I thought. But so that was, you pulled that off well.
Thank you.
No problem. Well, Rob, I want to thank you for your time today. Sorry, I forgot to record, so I missed the first 10 minutes or so. But I'll do a little recap for our listeners, and then they'll. I feel like we got the bulk of it. So.
Cool, man. No worries.
Good.
Good to talk to you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time today, dude. It was an absolute pleasure, and we'll stay in touch. All right.
Definitely, man. Yeah, nice working with you, man.
All right. Good luck on your future endeavors. Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.